All right, this is Edward Carbajal with Spectation Sports. I'm speaking with T. Cummins, who fights at Attitude MMA Fights 27 on June 10th. T, I'm doing a lot of homework on you and looking at the high KO rate that you have on your record. To me, it seems like on paper you're somebody that likes to throw hands a lot. Is that would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I love the stand up aspect of the game.
Mm.
I've got a lot of finishes over my amateur and pro career. It's I don't look for the finish per se, but whenever it's there, I take advantage.
Well, once again, I appreciate you taking time to talk. The thing that stood out to me was actually that you did some bare knuckle fights.
hmm
Do you have a preference between bare knuckle and MMA?
definitely MMA. But bare knuckle is something I'm interested in returning to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it came at a perfect time in 2020 when not many fights were going on. I could not get an MMA fight, so I got the opportunity to compete for BKFC.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple of fights, but it was always my my goal to get back to MMA, and that's really what I've been doing the last couple of years. The more the sport develops, bare knuckle, the the more interest I have in returning. I know a lot of guys there are doing a lot of great things. Some guys that I've trained with are competing and signed under the organization as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Um, I'm wondering just because looking at your record and I see you wearing the judo and jujitsu sweatshirt. So I'm wondering what got you into combat sports in the beginning. Was it a traditional art like judo or jujitsu, or did you do start with boxing?
no man, I actually had no prior mixed martial arts training.
Hmm.
I just at the age of 25, I was a competitive powerlifter for about 5 or 6 years. Um, and I felt like I had taken that as far as I could go with that. And I've always wanted to be a fighter since I was a kid. So I was 25 and I knew I wasn't getting any younger, and I just decided like I'm gonna try this out.
Mm-hmm.
I took my first fight on 2 week notice, not having any prior training at all, and was able to get a win. And that was also it was for Attitude MMA. It was in September of 2017. Um, took the fight, got a win. A month later, I took another fight for another promotion that was for a title shot, and I lost. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that really set the tone for the rest of my career because it just opened my eyes to like how much work I needed to put in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was just something random. I really wanted to do it, and because I'd always wanted to do it, and I just decided I'm going to go for it.
You may. I have to ask you. I mean, if you were advising guys that were thinking about pursuing combat sports as as a profession, a career, or passion, um, do you recommend like the? I mean, because it seems like you just you jumped in and you just committed to it. Do you
Mhm.
recommend immersing yourself in it soon, or do you recommend someone like establishing baseline, styles and defenses and
Right.
getting? Well, what would
Yeah.
you recommend to a younger guy?
To a younger guy, I would say definitely get the training in. Make sure that you're ready before you step in the cage.
Hmm.
Um, for myself, I was a competitor. I was competing in another sport at a very high level. So maybe it was a little bit of ego, self belief, but I felt like I could jump right in and still be able to kind of hang with the guys that were competing. But
Hmm.
I always, I tell people to learn from like my path and my journey, and just to do it the right way.
Hmm.
I tell all my teammates that are making their debuts or getting ready for fights, to put in the work, to know where you are before stepping into the cage,
Hmm.
because I didn't, I was figuring things out on the fly, taking as many fights as I was so soon.
Hmm. Um, so now you're facing Christian Eccles on
hmm
on June 10th. Um, I'm wondering, you guys are main or co-main event?
we're the main event.
You're the main event.
hmm
Topology seems to have it mixed up. So you're main eventing at this event, and I'm wondering, your Eccles has fought in Bellator and organizations that are pretty big. So I'm
Hmm.
wondering, when you do your research against fighting someone like that, like how do you prepare for someone like Eccles?
Well, I'm pretty familiar with Christian. I followed his amateur career. I think he got a little bit of a head start as far as competing than I was. But we always competed in similar weight classes. He's just one state over.
Mm,
So his name, we've competed against several similar opponents as well as an amateur and pro. So like I've always followed the trajectory of his career and watched him improve over the years. So last year when he had fought in Bellator,
mm-hmm.
I was actually sending a message just telling him how great of a job he did. So getting ready for Christian. It's just getting ready for a hard fight.
Mm.
I fought some tough guys so far in my career, so I just look at it like it's another test. And you're not going to get where you want if you're not taking these kind of fights.
Hmm. So I mean, you said you're sending him messages. That means you guys are, I mean, somewhat friendly. You know him like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I've he's actually has been recently training with one of my teammates who at Killcliff FC in Florida. I know he trains with another
Mm-hmm.
guy that I've cross trained with, Ben Parrish.
Mm.
So like, there's mutual connections. And I'm sure someday me and Christian will probably share the mat together as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any kind of like beef or anything tension wise between the two of us other than we're competing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've followed his career and he's done a lot of great things. It motivates me to put in the work for myself. So I'm able to reach a stage like Bellator
Mm.
or UFC as well.
That's pretty much. I mean, the goal is to get to Bellator, UFC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm curious as to like when you guys got your names sent to each other and knowing each other, like what's the
Hmm.
reaction? Like, I mean, do you guys just kind of like go cold turkey and then we're not talking because we're fighting until the fight comes, or
Yeah. No.
no
I'd
ball
actually.
breaking or nothing like that?
Yeah. No. We actually follow each other on social media.
Mm,
Um. It just. I mean, I don't know if anything has changed. As far as like after us signing for a fight, I know we've both been putting in work for the last 5-6 weeks
hmm,
getting ready for this. Yeah, I mean I don't think anything changes. We're just sharing the cage together. We're
mm-hmm,
competing against each other. It's a fight. Someone's gonna win, someone's gonna lose, someone's gonna um, feel good about themselves when they leave, and somebody's gonna feel
mm-hmm.
bad. It's never personal, unless people try to make it personal. But
Yeah,
it's a sport, and that's what we're there to do.
yeah, and that's what I wish more folks would kind of look at the sport when they get matches put in front
Hmm.
of them instead of all the other stuff that happens. But in the day of social media, what are you gonna do? Some folks try to sell things a little
Yeah,
more than.
I don't, we're fighting, for a regional promotion.
Hmm.
There's no selling to me. Like I don't feel like I have to sell. I'm just gonna be myself and be authentic. We're not in the UFC, we're not in Bellator, we're not main eventing the UFC pay-per-view. I don't have to put on any kind of a act or show to step in there and be at my best.
Do you do predictions for your own fights? I mean, and if so, how do you see this one going?
I think I got asked this a week or so ago in an interview.
Hmm.
My prediction is a win, for myself. I don't really care how I win. I don't care if I win by submission, by knockout. As long as I win, and I don't know how I'm gonna win. I just know that I'm gonna do everything in my power to. I put in the work, and I believe that I've earned the right to win.
Hmm.
And I think some previous performances from myself, I'll look back and I know I didn't do everything possible, and that's the one thing that I've eliminated all doubt. Um, this for this particular fight because I do respect him so much.
Mm.
Is that I've really put in the work and the time, and it helps that I haven't competed in a year because I've stayed really active in the gym, um, getting ready for a fight, just
Mm.
to and when I finally got a name, a date, a location, it was just a matter of like dialing everything in at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and that's good that you guys are handling it like true sportsmen. So I do love hearing stuff like that. So well, I mean, that's all the questions I had for you. I mean, again, it's June 10th, Attitude MMA, here on Spectation Sports. T, if you want to plug sponsors or anything before we say goodbye, by all means, go right ahead.
Yes, I want to give shout out to one of my newest sponsors, A Team Roofing. They also sponsor one of my teammates, and then also my gear sponsor, my powerlifting gear, because I still lift and train for strength sports as well. Stoic Gear, they have the best gear when it comes to powerlifting, weightlifting, and yeah, just shout out to all my friends and family who support me through this ridiculous goal I have of reaching the UFC. Yeah, and teammates and coaches, of course.
And really quick, on social media, where can folks follow you?
My Instagram is T Cummins MMA. I believe my Twitter and TikTok and everything else is the same thing. T Cummins MMA.
Okay, cool. So I can give you a follow myself. So I'd like to follow your career. I mean, it's definitely guys like yourself. I feel like are rare for the new breed of fighting. Guys that are just looking to test themselves and not make fools out of themselves on the internet.
Yeah,
Just
man. Whenever you've won and lost, you kind of you develop a sense of humility, which I've always had that anyways. But it doesn't me being humble doesn't stop me from going after the goal, which is to
Mhm.
win. And I've always had that as well. I've always been a sportsman about everything I've competed in because I know whenever you're upset about losing, you don't learn from it. And that's like
Mhm.
the number one thing that I want to take from each fight, whether I win or lose, is to learn and to be able to improve and take something from it to give it to somebody else. So,
Yeah, that's great. That's a great message to close on. Well, thank you again so much for talking,
yes,
and
sir.
good luck to
Thank
you
you for
next
having me.
weekend. No
Appreciate
problem.
it. Thank you. Alrighty.